Okay, hi. Um, so today, I'm going to talk about something which is very complex and close to my heart for sure, which is the subject of ENFPs from the perspective of INFPs and in my own life. Um, Sorry, this lag on the video is bothering me. I need to get better software, better hardware. I just can't afford it. Um, so sorry. Anyway, so I've known many ENFPs in my life. They have been responsible for some of the most defining relationships that I've known. Um, my own mother, my longest romantic relationship, my only sibling, my half brother, um, just friends and many different individuals, and I have some insights about them, and it's come up on a thread I've was commenting on from another user, an INFJ, uh, theorizing and commenting on the wisdom of the ENFP and how they can be misperceived as being childlike and I don't know, like flighty, irresponsible, something, but how they actually have a lot of deep wisdom related to something in his perspective that they share with INFJs. And I've noticed this even when I dated an INFJ, how he would connect to my mother and they seem to understand each other so well and really revel in things that that I would see as selfishness or indulgences or just ways to excuse motivations and behaviors as being something loftier or uh, more excusable than they are. Um, so, um, how do I put it? So, I mean, I think I explain pretty exhaustively, and I can't ever stop that an INFP sees deeper truths and experiences the whole of reality in a very penetrating way that if we can just humbly try to explain and share what this is and that this is truth, a lot of other types, instead of, being like, oh, okay, like I can try to comprehend that. I can see that you're actually speaking from a place of wisdom, that more often than not, they're simply going to see us as arrogant and deluded and trying to force them into something that might not be right, which would often be the case, which is a valid mechanism of response in most cases, but generally not in the case of the INFP, if it's a mature and responsible INFP. And it's weird because even though we can experience things so clearly and be so profoundly affected by the slightest violation or unethical action or something that departs from reality within someone else or within ourselves, of course, even though we're so profoundly affected by those things, that so many other types and other types in general, like, they're so good at letting those things slide, or really excusing them or justifying them or reacting in a way that's very inappropriate, and it creates more problems. It's not pure, it's not how you fix things. It can bury it. And as far as the ENFP goes, even though we can have so many commonalities, especially with our sensitivity and our sense of justice and creativity, this is a major point of departure where I see the ENFP getting so caught up in just creating something or experiencing something that they enjoy or they want to explore or they want to ignore, and they can be so strong in their will to do that the INFP coming in with a point of clarity and a point of morality, though sometimes the ENFP can have that presence of mind to really understand it and humble themselves and see it. In my experience, their motivation generally doesn't lie with truth, but rather is centered in these selfish motivations and creations, while at the same time publicly purporting to be like an INFP, very humble and very righteous and very truth-seeking, I will see the ENFP, and I mean, granted, these are not that healthy of ENFPs. I think that this is also generalizable and a big source of emotional and psychological pathology and instability in the ENFP. Where they will make such a point and value so far above everything else to have that front of harmony, and that they are just sweet and gentle and caring for those around them. But the second that those people are gone, the second that they leave the room, these ENFPs, they will just delight and revel in just completely trashing them and hating on them. And they hate that feeling of hurt and anger that people cause in them. And INFPs do too, but what I see in the ENFP is that they let themselves indulge in it. They don't try to process it. They don't try to fix it. They don't try to confront it. They don't try to let it go. They don't try to deal with it. They see themselves as a victim, and in some ways they might be, but they are more wrapped up in that feeling, that emotion that it gives them. And they have no problem with lashing out at anyone they have the freedom to, who they hold responsible. So it's kind of paradoxical from my perspective how they can have such capacity for empathy and warmth, and it sort of cycles around, and when they feel like it, it showers over you and it cleanses you, and it's the most wonderful thing in the world. But as an INFP, when it comes to things that are truly important to us and actually are truly important, like the whole of things and the balance and being genuinely yourself and respect and not letting hate and negativity fester or relationships fester, we feel the necessity to actually bring pressure to restore those things, to restore that clarity and ease and balance. And in these relationships, I will find that, this ENFP is going off on their whirlwind of just whatever they want, whatever they feel, and wanting to be catered to, wanting things to go their way, wanting to be allowed to be who they are and do what they want. And most of the time, the INFP is very happy to support that and cater to it and give the ENFP whatever love or healing or wisdom that they might need at the time, like they want. But then, like, I will find myself just appreciating and going out of my way to just let them be this, like, center of attention that they want to be, that always gets their way, that gets to be temperamental and impetuous, and, like, try to, like, dictate creative and artistic direction. Though, I mean, like, there is a sense of tension of, like, creative and artistic integrity need to be maintained. But anyway, so then the imbalances, like, they start to build, and the sacrifices that as the INFP will make for them will go unappreciated and unnoticed and wasted and abused oftentimes. And then when it finally reaches the point where I really have to, I have no choice, it's causing too much pain, too much tension within myself, I have to confront them, I have to address it, I have to ask for what I need. They do not respond well to this. They oftentimes, instead of seeing it for what it is, just humbly trying to do what needs to be done, they view it as some sort of personal attack. Like, they can't see their complete sense of entitlement and all of the chaos that they're causing and spewing with it when it comes to their own emotions. They can only see that there's something threatening that, and all they can understand is that there's no reason for that. They just know that they're so amazing. They don't want to, they want to be this, like, perfect, righteous, amazing thing. And they feel like such a victim if you ever have to clean up after this for them. When in reality, like, you are literally just doing them continual favors. Just literally always walking on eggshells. Just literally giving them everything that they want in every way that you can, because you love them so much. And all they can see is when something doesn't go their way. They're not trying to understand why. They feel a sense of justice in attacking and lashing out at that thing that would dare dare stand in their way, in the way of this perfect, wonderful being who could never do any wrong. And they're so stressed and they're so threatened by the idea that you can't just be relaxed, you can't just be easygoing, you can't just be positive all the time. And in reality, INFPs, they are very easygoing, they are very relaxed, they are very accepting, they are very positive, but they're not deluded, and they're not unfair, and they're not selfish. When something is out of touch with reality or out of balance, we have to address it. And that's not out of arrogance or out of selfishness in any way. That is a humble effort. And like so many types, the ENFP, as close as we are and as wonderful as so many things we share are, I just find that even though there's so much infinite potential and love between us, that these delusions and these injuries and this weaponry, it just builds and builds. And you can tell the INFP, think about it, do this simple thing, take these simple steps, be conscientious, change these few things, and we would never have to go through any of this. It could be like you want it all the time, but I can't get them to get there. I cannot get past this just ultimate stubbornness of will to just dig in their heels and not change and not try to see things as they are, and stop seeing what we're doing as an attack and start to see it for the work in service of them that we have no choice but to perform. So I don't know, like maybe you have an idea or a solution, but it's been too much chaos, too much drama, too much pain, too much effort for the return that I get. And I love them so deeply. I want to be close to them so badly. But at some point, they can be just so far removed from any true reality and just see things as being so different from what they really are that it causes too much suffering. Like, I have to go to a place where I can be pure and I can be happy and I can be free and live my life. And I still try to talk to them. I still try to give to them. But it's poison if I can't address things as they are. And because they let things pile up, it keeps having to come back to, hey, we have to deal with this. Let me talk about this. And I'm not threatening you. This is a necessary critique. And just further reactionism to that. And I think, they are so childlike in their wonder, but so many types are so childlike in the fragility of their ego and their incapacity to take criticism, to introspect, to change yourself for the better from deep within, to evolve, to consider every bit of the whole and all of the information that's coming your way in an impersonal way. Like, how can you be so arrogant to think that it's all about you? It's not about you. It's about everything. Call it God, call it love. There's a right way to do it. There's a way that feels good and is smooth and pure and just and makes things work and makes things blossom. And there's a way that causes pain and suffering and destroys potential. And I think the ENFP, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I think oftentimes they see things as, I mean, they can understand how things should be intuitively and in the depth of their emotion and experience and creation, but in practice, they're not who they say they are. They're not who they want to be. They neglect things and destroy things and disrespect others and themselves. And they have just so much potential, so much love. All of the pieces are there to be pure and whole and to be just mightier than maybe anyone could be. But in practice, in reality, I think it's hard to see it work. I know they mature over time, but does it take you a lifetime to start? That's what I want to know. All right. I hope this was fair. Thank you so much. All right. Bye.